I did every mistake every service member makes, right? I did the tattoos, the booze, the cars, the Harley, the guns, the women. I had no money, seven and a half years in, and someone handed me Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it just kind of, the light bulb went off. I was like, oh, this whole money thing doesn't have to be that hard. From there, I went into Bigger Pockets, and I just started doing podcasting and listening to books. So I probably had been in like just about 7.5 years when I bought my duplex.
Okay, and you like bought it with the intention, like, I'm gonna house hack this.
Yeah, I moved in and I lived in one side, rented the other. It was the moving out that actually really solidified things for me, because I was like, oh, this works. I am making money on this property. This is cool.
So how did you expand your portfolio from there?
I saved for probably a year and a half, and I was sending letters to people who owned duplexes, absentee, they didn't live in the house. This guy called me and told me he didn't want to sell me his duplex, but he had a 10 unit that he wanted to get rid of. He was willing to carry 10% back, and the bank was willing to lend 85%, so I was going to get into it for just under 5%. I walked into this 10 unit for $10,990 out of pocket. I negotiated it down. I got it for $212,500 and needed a bunch of work. So, it's in Missouri. It's not a really nice property at the time, but it did cash flow a little bit. Held that thing for 4 years. I sold it for $340 at the end of that 4 years. And so it was the best return I've ever had on basically 11 grand turned into 150 over 4 years. So that was my next one. That was not a nice property. That was the epitome of, I have time and not money, so I'm going to be putting in the work and dealing with a lot of headaches. And I don't know that I would buy that same property today. From there, I'd wholesale 1 or 2 deals, and then I would flip one, and then maybe I'd hold on to the fourth one. Over that next 2 years, we probably did like 60 deals, and I probably bought and held like 8 or 10 of them. It was stressful. It was eating me alive on some of the flips. It was just taking way too much bandwidth. And so I slowed down. I started kind of focusing on bigger deals where I could bring value to the deal without having to be the capital or the time. And so I was either raising money for deals or bringing people together to make deals happen. And so I started moving into the bigger scale stuff that way. And then that takes less of my time, but I still get a return. It's just a much long-term. We bought a hotel in December. I might make a couple $1,000 over that first 6 to 7 years. And then 8, 9, and 10, I'll get a pretty big payout. The amount of time I spend on it is effectively 1 hour a month on a Zoom call. I think it's exciting. I went to Chicago, I did their architecture tour on the boat. When I got done, I was like, there were like 10 or 15 guys that built this entire skyline. Why can't I build something like that? Kind of puts in perspective, like, man, I'm not doing a whole lot. I thought I was doing a lot, but I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm not thinking big enough. My big goal right now is to basically do deals where it doesn't take any of my time, so I'm not the operator, with people that I really trust. And then I'd like to focus the energy I'm saving there on development. I'd like to build something where I can tell my son one day, like, hey, we own that. And he'd be like, wow, that's so cool.